Hi, this is DL, and I wanted to just share my practice with you this morning. So I usually start on my back in constructive rest. Not always, but it's generally how I do things. And so I just have my feet slightly wider than hip width apart, my heels out just a little because it's more comfortable for my hips. And my knees, and I let my legs fall together sometimes. And the first thing I start to work on is just feeling my body on the floor. So my feet connected to the ground. And the pelvic bowl. The middle back and the lower ribs. And up through the shoulder blades, upper back. And I'm just making little adjustments, kind of rocking hip to hip, just tiny little movements. And I'm exploring the breath and pressing in with different body parts into the floor, feeling my arms, feeling my hands come alive. So there's a bit of what we would call pandiculation here. Which is the way that a cat or a dog moves or stretches. There's tension in their stretch. They're not pushing and pulling their bodies and whipping them with their minds. They are allowing the body to tense, lengthen, and then release. And it's a very soothing way to move. And then I may just settle in once I feel kind of an evenness on all the points that are in contact with the ground. So I don't feel heavy in my pelvis, I don't feel heavy in my middle back or in my feet. I feel equal. And then I'm just allowing everything to soften. So might be a release in my low back, might be a release in my thighs or around my knees. And then just maybe my head starts to go, and that's what's happening now. Sometimes it'll be different parts of the body that I want to move first. And so there's in addition to just kind of moving the head, there's also a little bit of a pressing into the space behind me with the head. And as I come off to the side, I can feel my end range of motion, and I kind of want to work a little bit right before that point. So I can work into some of the tension that's there. And breathe into those spaces. It's always a challenge to share this kind of work visually because it's very subtle. And my tendency is, because I want to show people, I overemphasize what I'm doing, and that's not good for me. So you're just going to have to trust your body to find what I'm describing. And the thing is, you want to be kind. You don't want to push anything or shove anything or make anything obey the commands of the head or the expectations of the head or the image in the head or the pose in the head, all of that. And now my shoulder's starting to drop as I turn to look in that direction of the arm. My shoulders now are starting to get into the movement. So there's a little bit of a side movement. So this side of my body is shortening and the other side is lengthening, not in a big way. It's just starting to get some movement through. And look at this, I am color coordinated with my mat. You probably can't even see me well. My shirt is actually a different color from the mat in reality, but it looks the same on the video. I color saturize a little bit because I love color so much. I was talking to a friend yesterday who said that people who have near-death experiences report, similar stories, and that they report that where they go is so much more colorful than where we are. I think I have a memory of that because I'm always after color saturation. I love things that are intense in color. So now, okay, my body has just taken over, and I'm just starting to move according to how my body wants to move. And throughout this, this side to side, like what happened, if you noticed, I think my knees might have started to fall from one side to the other. And then that grew into wanting to open and reach. And so there's tension, there's tension in this foot. I am pressing it into the ground and getting some resistance from the ground. My foot is flexed to protect my knee joint. And I'm pushing into the floor with this supporting arm that's in contact with the ground. So whatever parts of my body or your body are in contact with the ground, use the ground. Use the ground and press. There's a pressing into the ground. I think Mark J. Aquaviva, who I've been studying with, call it relating to the ground, rather than pushing away from it, which is something that we often do. There's a kind of yoga that's all about pushing away. And I used to practice that kind of yoga. And then I discovered this new way of moving, or maybe didn't discover it. I was led to discover this for myself by my yoga teacher training folks at Still Flowing Yoga. And then just kind of continue to work with the principles they've shared. And then, because I like all different forms of movement, from dance to Qigong to Toltec tensegrity to, lots of different forms of movement, developmental movement, martial movement. So, all of that gets incorporated into what I do. But right now, you can see it's really just a free flow, and it's not about poses. It's about just moving the body, and it's intuitive, which is. So you may be looking at me, you may be thinking, how on earth do I do that? How can I follow it? And you don't follow it. You follow your own body. So this intuitive yoga lab was meant to be a space, a container for people to find free movement, intuitive movement in their own bodies. And that's what this is, this time, if you're with me still. If this hasn't totally freaked you out or whatever. This is your opportunity to find how your body wants to move. Or maybe the ways that your body feels restricted to you. And ways that your body is having trouble moving. And just becoming aware of those places. You don't have to do what I'm doing. You just have to find, okay, this rotation of my hip feels good. This one maybe not as much, or there's something sticky here and there. So you just keep working with that. And I move around it and through it. And I'm using my breath. And I'm using, space to work into space. I'm not just bleh. I'm not floppy and giving in, giving in to a structuralist amoeba form. There's tension, the good kind of tension, that allows me to find length in other areas. And by doing that, it's just such a stress reliever. And then I can get all floppy because then, my nervous system is like, oh. And I'm already feeling that. I'm benefiting from the way that I'm moving. And, I would normally, for myself, I don't always play music, but I like to work with various kinds of music sometimes. And so, I'm not going to add music here because obviously I might need to talk. And also, your choice of music might be very different from mine. So, you could just put on some music for yourself here, lightly, and then just listen as you move in free flow and form. So here I am on my belly, and I'm just gonna not do much for a minute and feel connection points through the tops of my thighs. I just love that sensation of floor on thigh. Thigh on floor. So nice. And I'm feeling my belly and its relationship to the ground as I breathe in and out. And see now here, this is more posy, This looks more like yoga. And yet it's not exactly, because I'm still moving through it and with it. I'm not just holding some static pose. I am feeling pendiculations through the side body now. And look at this arm and how I'm pressing into the ground with this arm and then looking behind me. So the other side of my body is feeling very long, the side that's away from the camera. whereas the side of my body is becoming shorter and drawing together. And it feels so good. One of the things that I've been working with personally is creating space through the abdomen and through the front of the hips. And it's been making a big difference because I've had a lot of hip problems in my right hip and lower back, sacral. So I have a little bit of scoliosis, a little bit of arthritis, and so I have to work with those things. And I've been creating space through these areas by kind of opening and pushing into the groin and pushing the legs away, lengthening my spine. At the same time the spine lengthens, it also seems like it feels like it comes together. And as a result here, my belly is feeling, I'm going to put my shirt up here. So, if I'm standing up, I've got a nice little muffin top. So don't think, depending on what your belly looks like, that you cannot do this. You can. So the whole idea is kind of moving all of this tissue, the belly tissue, the organs, kind of bringing them in towards the ground. And it's not that I'm pressing my back into the ground, it's that I am emptying up into the upper ribs here. So if I breathe, on the exhalation, everything's going in and up. This is Uddiyana Bandha. This is, one of the locks, the bandhas. And this helps support and create space for my hips, and it also creates space and length and support for various other poses that I might do. And notice my shoulders, they're rising up towards my ears. So I'm not doing the old, move your shoulders down your spine kind of thing. Counter indicated, though often cued. And it takes some effort here to continue to press to the inner groin, the legs away from the body. And that's okay, because then my arms get stronger. And I'm bringing the breath into the space around my heart, the upper rib cage, the back body of the ribs. And when I first started doing this, which actually wasn't that long ago, last year, I guess. Last year I started this practice. And when I first started, it was so hard because it just, my arms grew so tired. I just didn't have the muscle, maybe strength and possibly experience. My muscles didn't quite have the memory down. It's gotten easier with time and practice. Now it just feels really good. And I find myself doing it more easily in other postures and actual, yoga sequences. And so now I'm going to just bring my arms up and just kind of connect with back of the shoulders here. And then I'm going to rest my arms, my thumbs right in my upper eye socket area, so the upper bones. And then the fingers on the forehead in this kind of a position. So I'm pressing up through the bone of the eye socket, just because there's a little bit of tension there. And I'd like to release that. It feels good, not too much. And just letting the arms open, yawns come, good for them. Let them come if they come. And my arms are just kind of suspended above the earth, but there's a tension in them, so they feel quite weightless. And I just feel like there's more length and space in my trunk as a result. The other thing I like to do, you can't see, the other thing I like to do is intertwine my arms and then bring them overhead. So that creates some more, you can kind of see from here. And then when I lengthen, how that kind of pulls the tissues in, it helps, it just helps. So try it, just see what you notice. So I'm pointing and flexing my feet. I don't think you can see that. I'll open my legs because that feels good too. And you can see what I'm doing. So if you stuck with me through that and it was fascinating for you, yay! And yeah, give it a try. I really believe we need to move this way. It's so releasing. It's freeing, it's liberating. And we are in unprecedented times where our bodies are going to need a lot more. Thanks for joining me. And I think I'll close the way I usually close my classes. So rubbing the hands together, creating some heat. Bringing your hands to your heart, breathing in, releasing the breath. And on the next breath, we'll chant. You're welcome to chant with me or just listen. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Thanks for joining me for this premiere of Intuitive Yoga Lab online. All right, bye.